Hello, welcome back to the channel. As promised from Friday's video, and if you haven't watched Friday's video, please go back and watch it. I do a very quick garden tour, show you some of the things that's going on in the garden and what's going to be coming up in the garden in the next few months. All that said, today I'm going to plant my Earth Angel roses. These I grew from cuttings. I have 3 of them. A few years back, my wife got me a Earth Angel rose. It's a heritage variety, I believe, and I took some cuttings from it and I didn't know if they were going to take, and they took. So now I have 3 plants that are relatively small, but still, I think they're getting a little too big for their pots perhaps. Either way, I think I'd like to get them in the ground now in the fall, hopefully to get a good rooting, and they just come back to life in the springtime. And hopefully we won't have too cold of a winter. For any of you who are new to the channel, my name is Jason. I live in eastern North Carolina, growing zone 8A. So my winters do not get that cold and the ground never freezes. If the ground freezes, it is the apocalypse. So again, what I'm going to simply do today is I'm just going to pop these into the ground. And all I'm going to do, and just to give you a heads up as to the space that I'm working in here, this was a space that is the front border of my rose garden. And for the last year and change, I think it's been covered up with black weed fabric. Everything in the ground has died back, all the grasses, the weeds, etc. And I think I put down a little bit of compost when I first prepped the space. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, what I'm going to do today with each of the holes is I'm going to put a little bit of garden compost into the bottom of the hole. And then I'm going to use bag compost for the rest of the planting. And the reason I'm going to do this is simply because my garden compost, I'm not 100% confident it got hot enough to kill off all the weed seeds. So if I used exclusively my garden compost, then there's a pretty good chance that the area around the rose would get very weedy. But if I put that on the bottom, then it should provide enough free drainage and good nutrition for the roses just to go bonkers, hopefully in the springtime. They should be starting to go dormant as the weather cools. But that's my story there. That's what we're going to do. We're going to plant my 3 Earth Angel roses. If I have enough bag compost, what I'll then also wind up doing is planting 2 more shrubs, and I'll show you that when we get to it. So let me get to planting. Okay, so I have my 3 Earth Angel roses in the ground, planted up and watered in. Even though I watered the plants this morning, the ground is very moist from the rain we had a few days ago still. I still watered the plants in, and many of you expert gardeners probably know this. I'm a newbie and I only learned this relatively recently in the last few years, but if you're new to gardening or if you're thinking about getting into gardening, always water your plants after you plant them, even if you've watered them when they were still in their pots or the ground is moist. And the reason being is that that water, as it seeps down, helps the compost and the soil that you put in the hole help settle around the plant itself and all the roots that are there. And this way everything makes good contact and everything can grow on. Roots will not grow in an air pocket or an air gap. So if there are pockets underground of just, nothing, air pocket, then no roots will grow there. So obviously you want your plants to have as much contact with the ground and with the soil as possible. Hence the reason you give them a good watering afterwards. And then again, it's just to help everything settle in and form around. Now, I will come back at the end of this and I will be applying probably another inch or so of mulch, of compost, and then mulch on top of that. That won't be happening today because I don't have enough compost, but hopefully later this week I will have more compost and I will take care of that job. But for right now, they're settled in and they're good to go. Now, I do have enough compost left over today to plant up the next 2 plants, which is going to be a Japanese holly, so it's a non-flowering shrub. And if you've been following along with my rose garden adventures, I've kind of tried to do rose shrub, rose, shrub, rose. So I have non-flowering shrubs breaking up a lot of the roses. And it's usually one after the other. There's a couple of exceptions to the rule, but that's okay. Over here, I did my 3 Earth Angel roses together because I want them to form sort of a hedge. I want them to be, not a hedge, that's not the correct word. I want them to grow as one. I want them to grow together, as it were. So they'll grow up, they're relatively close together, they'll touch each other, and once they're fully grown and flower, it looks just like one big shrub. No, or bush, or you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So it's my theory. This is what I'm going with. I have them planted closer together. They're all the same variety, and when they all grow up together, it should look like one big Earth Angel rose bush, theoretically. So breaking that up from the others, I'm going to be planting a Japanese holly, and then next to that, I'm going to plant up one of the roses that I picked up from my local garden center for $5. Now, it was a lot bigger, but it was gangly and had all these stems just coming off, and there wasn't a lot of growth on it. So what I did was basically cut it back, I'm treating it as a bare root rose. And if you've ever bought roses before as bare root, you know they basically come just all the branches trimmed off basically down to a few inches, and then the roots. Then that's what you get as a bare root. And that's okay, because this way it puts less stress on the plant and it allows the plant to give it time to get its good rooting in. And again, hopefully by the springtime, when everything warms up and it's had time to settle in over the winter, it'll flush out and life will be wonderful. And you know, we'll be talking about how big and beautiful it is, hopefully, theoretically. This is the plan. And I'm not sure if it's in shot, but so we have a climbing rose, evening scented primrose next to that, which won't flower till next year. Then I'm going to have my what the heck is this? This is a Olympiad. I believe it's a hybrid tea rose, and then my Japanese holly, and then the 3 Earth Angels. If you haven't been following along, if you're new, along the front here, I'm going to be doing a low, let's say 2 foot tall boxwood hedge eventually, and then between that and the roses and the shrubs, there'll be various other plantings. Behind the roses, there'll be sort of an alley, much as it is back over at the side I've already completed. And then in front of that, there'll be the golden ticket privet hedge line. Let me just shut up and start planting. Well, I forgot to hit the record button when I planted the 2 plants, but you kind of got the gist. I put the garden compost on the bottom. I tried to mix that in with the native garbage soil. And then I added in, once the plant was in the ground, I added in the bagged compost. And then I turn around and, try to mix in some of the native soil. There's still quite a bit of native soil here. And what I'll do is I'll spread that out amongst the area once I get more bagged compost. And then it'll just incorporate itself over time. So this is what I did today. This may seem obvious to many of you, but the more plants I plant in this space, it all just starts to come together. It's not just a blank canvas, as it were. It starts to look more and more like a garden. And maybe in 10 years from now, this space will actually be complete and it will just look like something you see out of a magazine. That's my goal. That's my aim. That's my dream. That's what I'm aiming for, to try to create in my garden some of those beautiful spaces that I've seen in magazines and books and YouTube, because we all like looking at those, but wouldn't it be nice to have one? Oh, so here I am planting away. So again, hopefully everything survives the winter. Again, I'm in growing zone 8A. We don't get terribly cold and the ground never freezes. I think everything will be fine once it's all mulched in. Again, another inch or so of compost will go around all these plants, plus a couple inches of mulch, and hopefully next spring we see some beautiful growth from these plants, and then hopefully by the end of next year, this little space right here will be a lot more complete and it'll start looking a lot more dramatic. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe, click that bell icon to be notified of when I do post a new video. You don't have to watch every video. I would appreciate it, but you don't have to watch every video. But if you hit that bell icon, you'll be notified when I do post up a new video, and it may be something that you're interested in, whether I'm working in the veg garden or the flower garden, or here in the rose garden, perhaps the orchard. There's so much coming up. There's so many new projects coming along. With the cooler temperatures and the cooler weather, things should start ramping up so far as projects and things that do. Please check out all the links below. There's those links to other social media and all sorts of other stuff. There's some exciting news coming up in the upcoming weeks, so please stay tuned, and you'll be notified of when that happens. And I think that's going to wrap it up for today. Sophie says goodbye, don't you? No, you don't want to say goodbye? She doesn't want to say goodbye. She likes making friends. What are you barking at? There's nothing out there. So we're going to go catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.